So if you ever wondered why you can't eat grapefruit on sertraline, it's because... So today I'm going to be talking about antidepressants and my experiences of taking antidepressants.
And trying to remain so strong. I know it's good if I'm alone. I got it. I gotta go. Running to better times.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about antidepressants and my knowledge of antidepressants along with my experiences. So before I get started, I just want to say that I'm not a professional in any way, shape or form. I am just talking from experience and also from information that I found on the internet, and I'm compiling into a easy to understand video. So as always, I will leave all links to any of the information and any of the stuff and websites I have used in the description box down below. But without further ado, let's get started. So first of all, I want to talk about antidepressants and what they can be used to treat. So most people think antidepressants, depression, and that's it. But actually antidepressants can be used to treat things like OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. They can also be used to treat conditions such as PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. On top of this, antidepressants can also be used to treat generalized anxiety disorder and other anxiety conditions. So there are many different types of antidepressants, and I will get into a few of the different types later on in this video, but antidepressants and how they work depends on the type of antidepressant that you are taking or that you are considering taking. So antidepressants, as a general rule of thumb, they work in the brain to increase chemicals such as serotonin and noradrenaline. These are also known as the happiness hormones, or hormones that increase happiness levels in the brain. But it is important to say that antidepressants, they don't treat the actual depression, they treat the symptoms of depression. So usually antidepressants are used in combination with a few other types of therapy such as CBT, and I will briefly touch on CBT a little bit later in this video, but because this video is more about antidepressants, I am going to try and focus mainly on antidepressants, the types of antidepressants and how they work. If you would like me to talk about CBT or other forms of treatment for depression, then please give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below and say what sort of videos you'd like me to make. So antidepressants, depending on the person, it depends on what duration of treatment you might need for taking antidepressants. So for me, I've been on antidepressants for about 2 years now, and I, before going on antidepressants, was very anti them, like antidepressants. I didn't want to go on them. I thought that they made me weak, and that's not the case. But I had been shoved with all this outside perspective, and this was before I started my YouTube channel and before I really considered about talking about topics such as antidepressants and mental health and educating myself, but also trying to educate other people in the community. So before I went on antidepressants, I was very much like, no, I'm not going on antidepressants. So this is coming from someone like myself who had been on multiple different types of medication, and I have made a video about the different types of medication that I've been on, and I will leave it on the card above here so you can actually go and watch that video as well. But antidepressants, in terms of the duration of how long you'll be on them, can range from anything from 6 months onwards. So some people are on antidepressants for the rest of their life, and some people just need it for a short period of time to get over a hard patch in their life. So it's important to know that antidepressants should be taken for at least 1 to 2 weeks before you might even start feeling the tiniest bit better. They do say for most antidepressants to take them for 4 to 6 weeks, because that is when it is thought to have the most effect in your body. So there are many different types of antidepressants, and for antidepressants, it is kind of quite complicated to understand. So I'm going to try and break it down into some bite-sized bits for you to kind of try and understand. So the first type of antidepressants I'm going to be talking about is SSRIs. So this is a bit of a mouthful, but SSRIs stand for Selective Serotonin Reuptake Inhibitors. And basically they are a baseline antidepressant. They are also one of the newer ones, and they are also the type of antidepressant that I'm currently on, which is sertraline. So SSRIs are actually one of the most widely prescribed antidepressants within the UK, some of which include fluoxetine and sertraline. So for me personally, I've been on sertraline and I still am on sertraline, and I find it very, very helpful. The next type of antidepressants I'm going to be talking about, really briefly just to touch on it, because as I said, I am not a mental health professional or anything like that. I do not know a lot about it. I am just reading what I have found off of the NHS website. Again, I will leave leave the link down in the description box down below. But the next type of antidepressants is SNRIs. SNRIs stand for selective noradrenaline reuptake inhibitors, and one of those is actually duloxetine, and I'll be talking about duloxetine a little bit later in this video. I'm going to briefly touch on another type of antidepressant, which is actually an older type of antidepressants, is a tricyclic antidepressant. So these types of antidepressants are actually no longer recommended for depression, and that is because they just provide so many different side effects that most people just find that taking them doesn't provide enough benefit in comparison to the negatives of taking them. There are a few different types of treatment for depression. I'm going to briefly touch on one of them, which is CBT. CBT stands for cognitive behavioural therapy, and I personally have had cognitive behavioural therapy. I have found that at the time when I had it, it wasn't really for me, and it didn't really make a huge difference in my life. But I've heard some really, really good stories about CBT and how it has helped people to get their quality of life back. Usually when you take antidepressants, they usually recommend that you do therapy as well, and one of those therapies might be CBT. So the antidepressant that I'm currently on, and one of the first ones I'm going to be talking about, is sertraline. So sertraline is the English name for the medication. I think it is known as Lustral as the brand for like America and places like that, but if not, I will leave the correct brand name above on the screen somewhere. So sertraline can be used to treat a few different types of conditions, depression being one of them, but also it can be used to treat obsessive compulsive disorder or OCD, post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, and other conditions such as anxiety and generalized anxiety disorder. So sertraline is one of the first antidepressants that most people put on, and this is because there is a lot less side effects, and the side effects are generally more mild with sertraline. Whereas some of the other antidepressants that I think I'll talk about one later in this video, but if I don't, you can check the links out down below in the description box and you'll be able to find different types of antidepressants, some of which are older, and some of those antidepressants, they cause so many different side effects that, you know, to be honest, can affect your quality of life. So with sertraline, it's important to remember that usually it takes between 4 and 6 weeks to work fully and to actually have its full potential in your body, although you may start to feel a bit better within 1 to 2 weeks. Me personally, it took me, I think, 3 or 4 weeks to start to notice the effects, and actually I started sertraline whilst I was in a respite house. So I was in a crisis and they decided to start me on sertraline. So some of the side effects that you may notice from sertraline in particular are feeling sick, you might get some headaches, and you might feel a bit more tired. For me, I find that when I take sertraline on a regular basis, I'm absolutely fine. Like initially, I think I had a few headaches and I also had a few problems with actually going to sleep and falling asleep. Now I know that a lot of the problems with me kind of falling asleep are more I can't stop thinking and I can't get off to sleep. But usually with sertraline, I know that I haven't taken it because like this morning, I know that I was a bit late taking it. And that was because I started to feel really sweaty, and I also had a headache the whole of last night. And I think that was because I didn't take it last night per se. So what happened was I had an interview a few days ago, and it will be in a video in, I think, not the next one, maybe the next one, don't know. But in a video soon, there will be me talking about why I had an interview. But basically, I had this interview and I said to myself, I'm going to forget to take it the next morning. So I took it the night before, and that's absolutely fine. Like, you know, sometimes I take it at night, sometimes I take it in the morning. It depends kind of how good my sleep's been, but also if I know that I've got anything stressful the next day, then I will take it kind of the night before. So with sertraline, one of the really, really important things to remember is not to eat or drink grapefruit juice. So when I first went on sertraline, was like, why grapefruit? Why grapefruit out of all the fruits in the world? I don't eat grapefruit. So I don't eat grapefruit. But I remember that my grandma used to absolutely love grapefruit, and it used to be like a breakfast thing for her. And I remember her having it. So that's kind of like the only recollection I have of grapefruit. But when I went on sertraline, I recognised, you know, grapefruit, and it said don't take grapefruit. And up until today, I've never actually really known why. But when I was doing the research for this video, I found that grapefruit actually increases the levels of sertraline that are in your body and can actually increase the risk of having more side effects. So if you ever wondered why you can't eat grapefruit on sertraline, it's because grapefruit apparently increases the levels of sertraline in your body, and duloxetine is a serotonin noradrenaline reuptake inhibitor, an SNRI. I personally have never been on duloxetine, so I can't really talk about my experience, but I can just talk about some of the things that are on the NHS information, and I'll also leave the link, so if you want to find out some more you can click on the link in the description box down below. But before we continue, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button to see more videos like this, and also don't forget to like and comment on this video. So duloxetine is actually one of the antidepressants that is used mainly to treat depression and anxiety. It is also used to treat fibromyalgia, which is a nerve pain condition, and it can also be used to treat urinary incontinence, mainly stress related, in women. Duloxetine is one of the antidepressants that takes 2 to 4 weeks to start working, although it may take longer if you are taking it for nerve pain. The most common side effects with duloxetine are things like a dry mouth, feeling sick, and also feeling very sleepy. So for some people it can affect their ability to drive and to operate machinery. But as I said, I don't really have a huge amount of information about duloxetine, but I will leave a link in the description box down below if you would like to check more information about it yourself. But that is it for today's video. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I shall see you in my next one.
Nobody can make her feel down. She was always smiling from it to it, and everybody wonders